Hey everyone, welcome back to Financial Education Sucks podcast on this snowy afternoon. I'm your host, Grant Raskin, and I am thrilled today to have a friend, mentor, business coach on with us today, Mr. Allan Scholnick. Allan, thank you for being here and welcome all, my friend.
Thanks, Grant. Yeah, a little snowy Wednesday, right? A little
Yeah,
snowy
right.
Wednesday afternoon.
No, it's
But
it's uh, it's good, and thank you. I think
yeah,
it's gonna
you're
be a
welcome.
really good podcast to learn about you and what you've done in your career. Not only how you've changed me personally, professionally,
Uh,
you've done a tremendous amount to make me who I am today. So thank
uh,
you. I really do appreciate everything you've done for us and a lot of our friends out there. So, Allan, getting started, right?
yeah,
I got my podcast here. You're one of the first people to find out about it. Now you're on it. So, um, you know, sort of just getting out there, letting people know we're here to educate, we're here to help people. But I love having different individuals on from a variety of walks of life
yeah,
to talk about what they do. And I think it's really important, helps get the message out there. So do you mind? I mean, I want to know. I know a little bit. We always know what my answer is when someone says, "What does Allan do?" But what do you do, man?
yeah,
What does Allan do, and how'd you get there?
yeah. Awesome. Great question. So, Alan's a leadership coach. What does that mean, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It it really is about how do I lead myself and how do I lead others to wherever it is that we're going. How do I understand myself, my drives, my motivations, my values, how I act under stress, how that impacts everyone around me. And then how do I learn about the drives, motivations, and strengths of the people on my team or the people that I collaborate with, and how do I feed those drives, motivations, and strengths? It's about communication, empowerment, difficult conversations, letting go so that we can put our time where it should be so that we grow, but by letting go, we also allow our teams to grow.
No,
So
I
it's
laugh.
growing. It's actually growing your business through your people. That's all. That's all this is.
No, I laugh when you say letting go, right? Because we've been working together several years now, and it's hard. It was real difficult for me to let go, right? And for those folks that have been in the office, they know that Heather's, runs this place inside and out every day. I'm out of the office a lot, but you sort of taught me how to let go and how to let her take that over. So we know what you're doing now, leadership
Yeah.
coaching. You work with some pretty large corporations out there, but you yourself actually come from a pretty cool company. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So what Grant's talking about is the last part of my corporate career, which I spent almost 30 years with a blue and yellow Swedish company no one's ever heard of called IKEA. Um, but I was in finance and ops, spent the majority of my career there. Then got involved in competence development, leadership, coaching, team dynamics, fell in love with it. Got to facilitate and coach and mentor and grow teams. Um, and I just absolutely loved it. Got to work over in Europe for 3 years. And then when I actually decided to go out on my own, which was all due to the credit of my wife, because I was trying to find roles in
Got
finance
it.
yet again. And
We love Donna. We'll
we
give
love
Donna a shot.
Donna.
Shout out there,
And
Donna.
exactly, because she's like, what are you doing? Yes, you can do it. Yes, it's a paycheck. You're going to hate it. Go do what you love. So started my own company. That's how you and I met.
Absolutely.
Um, and I love working with businesses from all different sizes. But that IKEA experience, the one thing that I guess a lot of people don't understand is we worked from sourcing all the way to the customer, right? So we
Yeah.
were involved in every aspect of that. Um, so from a financial perspective, from an operational perspective, all that experience and collaborating and working cross-functionally helps me help small businesses, large businesses around collaboration and letting go and trusting each other and all the communication. It's huge. It's what makes companies successful
So
or what breaks companies.
So Nero, it's funny you say communication. So I was actually thinking about something. Your experience working internationally, right, over in Europe, and that obviously different cultures. We've talked about that. How do you think that working with different cultures, the European sort of work model versus the typical American work model, how how was that different? How did you learn to sort of balance that, and then take what you've learned there and sort of move that into what you're doing now?
Yeah. Part of communication is active listening.
Sure.
It's sitting back and listening to understand before you get someone to understand you, right? So just sitting back and taking it in rather than from a North American perspective, we move fast, we jump in, we fix.
Yeah.
From a European perspective, it's a little bit slower, right?
Okay.
And that differs. Like you can't use that wide brush because Eastern European leadership style is different than Western European style. Same thing with Asia and all that. But we're all different. But when we sit down and we're curious and we want to learn and we just take it in, and
Right.
then we start to realize what drives and motivates people, what they need to be successful. And again, we go back and feed them, give them what they need, not what I need, but what they need. That's what I learned. That's what I learned how to do. And not be that when you walk into the room, here comes the cowboy American who's just going to shoot at everything or try to fix everything, right? Without even listening to what's wrong.
No, that's awesome, man. Look, for me, just personal story, right? We met, and we talked and we chatted, and I was like, I want to get my business to the next level, but to bring somebody on, there's a cost involved. There's things of that nature. For me, when we decided to work together, it was really taking a look at the business, not only from the inside out, but the outside in, right? Like, and I think it's a really cool thing that you have a skill in that been a huge benefit to me is being able to say, okay, we want to focus, especially my business, right, as a financial advisor, and targeting very specific markets, right? As
Yeah.
you well know, small business owners, and we run some pretty intense income retirement strategies for those clients as well, who are looking for income. But from my perspective, to be able to develop inside and grow, but also work on the business, right? The people who are
Yeah.
here to help me every day grow the practice and get to the next step. That I think was the bigger shift for me. Because we always hear, like, especially I network so much, you network so much with people out in the community. I'm a business coach, right? And I think a lot of times
Yeah.
that's what people hear. Guys, let
Yeah.
me be very clear. Alan is not a business coach. Okay. I know a lot of business coaches, right? That's not what you do. Um,
Mhm.
there's some really good people out there that do that. But I think your case is what we all strive for, is the camaraderie, or the the growth of your company based on the people. That's what's going to make you. That's what you taught me, right? If
Yeah.
I give my people what they need, the value, the culture, the it grows, and we've seen over the years. So where do you, as someone who's starting, right? Like, whether
Yeah.
it's, look, I know you've worked at, you got Fortune 500 clients down to small little guys like myself.
Yeah.
Is it all the same, or it's like when you begin? I know for myself, we did different tests and looking at different areas of the practice, but sort of where do you begin? Does it depend on the corporation, that the company, their needs, or is it pretty much a process that you've built over time, and kind of walk folks down that way if they wanted to, look at bringing you on board and things of that nature?
Yeah. It goes back to what I talked about earlier, right?
Right.
It's asking a whole bunch of questions.
Okay.
Asking, okay, where, and it's like anything, like, and it, what I'm about to talks about this ties to what you do too with clients, right? It's about creating, okay, what, where is it you want to be? What is your vision,
Sure.
right?
Right. Yeah.
Same thing for you, like with clients. What is your vision? And okay, what is it? Why do you want to be there? What drives you to be there? What motivates you to be there? And then start, okay, where am I?
right. How do we get there?
What's work? How do we get there? What's working?
What's
What's
working?
not working? Right. And then figure out, okay, what do I need to do? And similar, there's no magic bullet. There's not one plan. Every client is different. That's what I love about what I do. They're all at a different place. They're right where they're supposed to be, but that's a different place for each one of them.
Yeah.
But it really is just sitting back, asking questions, and getting them to paint the picture that they want for the future, and then help them getting there, right? Build the bridge of, this is where I'm at now, this is where I'm going. Always reminding them of the vision and the why. Why are we doing this? Because it's change and it's painful.
Yep.
We don't like it,
No,
right?
you're right.
And a lot of it gets back to what you talked about earlier. How do I move from working in the business to on the business? I need to let go. It's hard.
Sure.
Whether you're a sole proprietor or you're leading 500 people, it's hard for us to let go of things. We just need to let go. We need to empower our teams and trust our teams, and hold our teams accountable for that. But the accountability starts with us. We have to create the right environment for them to succeed.
Yeah,
Just like what you did. Same thing as you did.
We're working on it, man. We're working on it. We're trying to improve every day. But that's something that, from my perspective, and I know that the friends that we share and that you work with and help them as well, it's just the way that you approach things, right? For us here, it was about, hey, how do I make people more effective? How do I improve the processes, right? And the biggest thing for me happened, and you were sitting right there when it happened, was at the end of this year. We're looking back and we're looking at my SWOT analysis and figuring out, hey, where your weaknesses, where they were in 23, 24, and where we at now. And I remember the big one was process, right? We really wanted to define a process, especially bringing on new clients. And now when we did 25, we actually moved that to our strength. That was huge for me. And I don't think that people really see the impact until you look back a year later, right? We're working together every month. You're here.
Mhm.
It's funny because I always say Allan's coming in once a month and I usually bother you, I don't know, twice a day. So, but for me to look back and say, wow, like these are now our strengths. We wanted to incorporate more technology. Now that's become a strength of ours, right? So
Yep.
I think my message to people out there who are looking for someone to grow their organization and do it organically, right? Like starting, like you said, from inside out and sort of doing the work. It's, you had to push me. Hey man, are you getting it done? Where's the list? What we got to, but when you look back, and again, I'm just looking at 1 year. We've been doing this, several years now. I'm like, wow, like that was a huge change for us. And we've seen the growth now here with our clientele. To get to where we want to be, right? So I think that's big. Now I'm going to I want to shift gears a little bit, man, because I know you're over in Rockledge, right? Rockledge, PA. Kind of focus in that area, but you'll travel. I mean, I know you'll head out. You'll go see people all over the country. But I got to ask, for all the traveling you've done, where's your favorite spot?
Oh,
Now I'm making it think.
No, you're not making me think, because
I think I know the answer.
yeah,
I know
I mean,
Donna's.
it's not Donna's favorite place, but it's my favorite place. I mean, I fell in love with the Netherlands. I have.
That's awesome, man.
Always have. Not the weather, but
Okay.
just the place, the people. For me, that's one of my favorite places. But the places, it's funny you bring that up. I've got to see some amazing places and been to some amazing things. And, thinking about the things that we grow up and we learn, right? And then, your first trip to Europe, you see, well, wait a second, this whole city is standing here. It wasn't, because we think during World War II, everything was flattened.
Right.
But then you go and see, you go over to Poland and see Warsaw, that was flattened, right? Or other cities in the Netherlands that, were flattened and
Right.
now are modern, and some are still old. And it's just, there's so much, the history is so rich there. And it's
awesome.
just cool.
So do you own a pair of clogs? I know the answer, but
Yeah, of course I do.
They got to be more comfortable than as they look, man. And I'm just telling
They
you,
are
I love it.
super comfortable,
Even
especially
if
if you spend, because one of the other things I
I
do,
had to make fun. Listen, I had to make funny about something today, so
I know, I know, I
I had to
know.
get you somewhere.
But one of the other things I do is leadership training and facilitation. I'm on my feet a lot. So
I know.
they're great for when you're on your feet a lot. So for sure.
Well, listen, man,
Yeah.
it's just you, right? Like that's what we all love about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And I just want to go a little bit further because
yeah,
it's just
on the
me, but
clogs or what? Like,
no, no, not on the clogs, but for me, it's like every person I meet, just like you and everyone else we met, and all the people that we know, right? They become part of my village, right? They've everyone I have met has given me something to be a better person, and that's what I love about what we do when we're just connectors. We're like, you and you need to get together, and you need because you two can do great things together. That's what I
yeah,
love about what it is that we do.
listen, I mean, I try to make these podcasts about you, right? I don't like to talk about
Yeah,
myself on here. I did that for my first one. But look, when I built the firm, you know what, God, 12 years ago, 13 years, whatever it was now, we're in 2025. Um, it was relationships and it was education, right? Those are my two
yeah,
things. I say it to everybody, I tell it to everybody, I repeat it in an insane amount. But I think that's what really puts us in a different spot, right? I love when people say, "Oh, it's about service." Listen, you, you need to deliver great service, right? That's part
yes,
of the package. But for
that's a
us,
given.
right, like it's there. But for me, for you, it's learning about the individual, right?
Yeah,
Really understanding that we're here to make a difference. And the more I can learn about you, learn about your situation, like you said before, get in there and really understand what drives an individual. Um, it, it makes all the difference in the world, right? For
yeah,
me, um, when I learned what motivated somebody, and it took me a long time, and I will tell everybody right here on our podcast,
yeah.
not always money. Okay.
Mhm.
And that was a big thing for me, like trying to understand what it was. And we found out what it was. And it made all the difference in the world.
Yeah,
And I have employees now that are they're phenomenal, right? Like for the first time in a very long time, maybe even ever, we went away on vacation. I felt comfortable, like, hey,
yeah,
we're stepping out, and I know the office is taken care of, right? So
yeah,
it's a big thing, and putting the spotlight back on you. Look, it took me a long time to get there, and I don't mean a couple weeks, right? Like
yeah.
you had it's tough. It was tough for me, but we got
Mhm.
there, right? And the
Yeah,
difference
yeah,
we
yeah.
made has been awesome. So that's been tremendous. Like it's again, I can't thank you enough for what you've
Yep.
done for me, and what I know you're doing for other people. So um, we talk about hey the work you do inside of corporations
Yeah.
and things of that nature, but what we didn't talk about is you speak, man. Like you do speaking engagements. You love to get out there. Um, for those people listening, if you could have your ideal, like, are you willing to speak for anybody, for organizations? Who do you
Mhm.
look for? How does that work?
Yeah, I speak to all different kinds of groups. Like someone just reached out today that wanted me to do something for local business owners, and they're like, "Well, what do you want to talk about?" And I'm like, "Well, let's start with letting go. Let's start with empowerment. Let's start with communication, setting
Yeah,
expectations in two directions, not one, right? All those things that as business owners, and the letting go is the biggest one, we all
sure.
struggle with, right? Um, so for me, it's like those little intimate groups. It is like I'm not a big fan of 5,000 people in a room because
Yeah.
just about what you talked about. I love connecting with people, right?
Right.
So
It's
I love
hard to do
being
on that level.
in. It's hard to do at that level, but the 50 people and below, I can connect with that group. And when I speak, it's always interactive. That's why I also like the smaller groups. It's just
Sure.
not no one wants to hear me talk for an hour or 2 hours or 45 minutes. I don't wanna talk for 45 minutes,
Yeah,
but
no,
it's
listen, I'm with you.
yeah, but it's and one of the other things that I do is I run a men's mastermind group where we're business owners and we just get together once a month and we just throw things. Okay, what's keeping you up at night? And then we all help each other.
Yeah,
Right.
which is awesome. That's,
Yeah.
to me, it's one of the great things that, we do. And those groups make a difference. I've gotten so much out of, our
Yeah.
mastermind group that we have as
Yeah.
well. And it's just great. So,
It's great because we don't feel alone. We
right.
don't feel like
Right.
we're the only person. And we also feel, because we feel vulnerable, or we'll think we don't know what we're doing if we ask this question. I'm a business owner and I don't know how to do marketing. That doesn't sound okay. Like I
Yeah.
can't say that. Yes, you can, because you're good at what you do, but
Exactly.
but you may not be good at marketing.
And exactly, when you can find those components to plug in and let them do their job, it's a world difference. So I wanted to ask you a question, because
Yeah,
you say it to me all the time, right? Let it go, right?
yeah,
And you've said it several times here today. So just to kind of pick your brain a little bit, when you say let it go, like, what are three things that people really struggle with? And I know it's a broad question,
yeah,
but like, just let it go. Like, what are three
yeah,
examples you can maybe give us that you could help out, somebody who's listening here today?
yeah. Here's some of the big things: payroll. Let it go. Outsource it, please. Like, let someone else do it. Like, you're good at what you do. Why are you spending your nights or whatever trying to do payroll? Right? There's experts out there.
That's funny.
Outsource
Okay.
outsource it so you can do what you do best, right? Which is not payroll.
No, no.
Same thing with your accounting, right? Or bookkeeping. Outsource it, please. Especially the bookkeeping, because every business owner tries to do it. Just outsource it, please. And again, go do what you do well, right?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And then the third thing is the admin or whatever it is. Like, how can you get a virtual assistant or assistant? Or better yet, if there's someone in your organization, here's those conversations. What drives and motivates you? You may have someone on your team that loves doing Canva and marketing and social media, and you don't even know it because you've never asked a question. And I'm really bad at marketing now, so now I'm gonna give it to someone in my company who loves doing it.
Yeah.
Look at that,
And you
right?
just have to ask the question, right?
You just have to ask the
But sometimes
question.
it's the
So
hardest part. It's the hardest
it's
part.
the hardest part. It's the
Uh-huh.
hardest part. Yeah, because we try to do everything and we can't.
Yeah, I think as a business owner, when you understand that you can't do it all,
Mhm.
that's when you see the next step in your business grow. Um,
Yeah.
I I I did it, right? And there's always a cost associated with it, which I think scares a lot of business owners. What's that
Mhm.
additional cost that I'm going to bring on? But when you realize what it actually frees you up to allow you now to build inside the business, right? Because you fixed on the business. So now we're going to go inside. It allows you more time there to then build and get in front of more clients, or a lot of contractors I work with and we work with, right? Like, get on more sites, get on more jobs, things of that nature. So yeah, it's 100% right. But again, it's control. It's
It's
control.
control. It's
Yeah,
not seeing the ROI, right? It's not looking at the vision and saying, okay, if I invest this now, this is what I'm going to get later. What's it worth?
yeah,
What's the return on investment of either my time, my money, whatever that is, right? And what is it that I want, and what do I need to invest today to kind of get that, right? And
yeah,
sometimes the investment is super small for a huge payoff, because you're only asking someone who's looking for to grow and do something to do it,
right.
right?
Like you said,
Um,
sometimes right underneath it's right underneath your feet. You
Sometimes
don't even
it's
know.
right underneath your nose, right? It's
Mhm.
right there. It's someone's, and a lot of times they're good people, and you may lose them because they feel bored or stuck or they're not growing. And by you letting go, you're allowing them to grow.
Yeah. Again, and I feel like I'm just repeating I just agreeing with you, but you're right. You're absolutely right. Um, so with that, obviously, I believe, you're going back and forth, but you're looking for new clients and things of that
Yeah.
nature now. Um, how does it work if someone wants to get in touch with you? Obviously, we'll put your contact info on here and share it with everybody. But um, typically, like an initial session, you come out, kind of learn about them. Can you tell us sort of what your process is for that, just so our viewers and listeners can get an idea?
Yeah. Yeah. So I set up a call with somebody. It's a free call, right? We sit
Right.
down. I'll either come to your location. We'll do it over the phone. We'll do it over Zoom. We'll meet in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to ask you a bunch of questions and listen, right?
Okay.
And see what it is, right? And see what it is. Again, where is it that you want to go? Where are you today? What's worked? What hasn't worked? All those things, like just to let you out. And it's funny. Sometimes I'll have those conversations with people I've never met before. And they're like, why am I telling you this? I don't even know you.
Yeah.
But
Who's this guy?
that's the but that's the
You're really
environment.
good at that, though, bud. You're really good at
That's
that.
the environment. I make people feel safe, right?
No,
And
100%.
comfortable.
100%.
And then that all comes out and that allows them to process it. And sometimes you can just see, even in that initial call, some of the discussion, some of those light bulbs just go off. Like,
Start popping
why
up.
am I doing this? Because what they've done is they've taken their backpack off their back and now they've dumped it out. And
Sure.
they're
Yeah.
seeing all the gems, all the great things, but then they're also seeing the cinder blocks going, why am I carrying this?
Yeah.
I need to let this go.
It's tough, man. It's tough.
It's tough. It's tough. And it's funny because I tell every one of my clients this. All coaches have a coach for the same reason of what we do, because we need it too. We get stuck too. We have head trash. We have imposter syndrome. We all get stuck too. So we have that same resource for them to just ask us those questions so we find our own answers.
No, that's awesome, man. I mean, listen, I can't thank you enough for being on here today.
No, thank
Like,
you. This has been great.
yeah, man. You've again, as I said in the beginning, you've been a major impact on my life, professionally, personally. I cannot thank you enough.
It's
I'm
right
telling the
back
world,
at
man,
you.
the work that Allan can do for you and your business is a game changer, and I
Yeah.
truly mean that. So I thank you, um, and to our viewers, to our listeners, thank you guys for tuning in today.
Yeah.
Um, feel free to always reach out to us. Again, Grant
Yeah.
Raskin, Financial Education Sucks podcast, on today with Allan Scholnick. Allan Scholnick Coaching, someone who will definitely make a dramatic impact in your life. Reach out, get in touch with him. And again, as I always say, please like, subscribe, join, follow, all those fun things that the internet has to offer. We thank you again for listening and have yourselves a great day. Allan, thanks again, buddy.
Grant, thank you.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.